Jason, good evening. How are you?
Wonderful as always. How about you?
Cold as heck. I'm not a big fan of the winter. Winter's coming.
It's coming.
You going away this winter, or what are you doing?
No, next year. Yeah. Early next year. Maybe Australia, go see my boy.
Man, life's tough. I want to come back and be you in my next lifetime, right?
You have your son halfway across the world. You see how easy that is. That's not easy.
It's like you can't live halfway across the world.
No.
It's every visit is $10,000 in airfares, right? Yeah. Speaking of people that want to travel around the world, Jason, we're going to talk about on this show today. We've got the 10 reasons why people should retire, and 10 reasons why people shouldn't retire. And always talking to clients that come in, they tell me, "Hey, I've had enough. I'm a teacher. I'm retiring." And they've got all these reasons why they should retire. And then, of course, there's reasons why people that love their job maybe shouldn't retire. And we'll get into these right here. But again, deciding whether to retire or not retire, it's really a personal choice. And it's impacted by various factors, including, financial readiness, lifestyle preferences, emotional well-being. So here are the top 10 reasons why people should consider retiring. And number one here, I think, and this is actually probably the biggest one, is why would you want to retire? Well, you've got health considerations, right? So as we age, obviously, we experience some health concerns, and kind of keep going to work, keep putting in the hours, keep having the stress is really, really difficult. So retiring can offer those out there obviously a chance to self-care themselves, manage back to health. And it's funny, right? The old saying is, if you don't have your health, what do you have? Yeah. And I think, even you and I, we're in our late 50s right now, and we start thinking about our health, and you get worried. You hear guys that are, having heart attacks, and guys have had cancer, and you're like, man, we're working and working, we're working, but not that we're going to retire, but maybe, managing our health and managing the hours we put in is a good thing, right? For
sure. And also, the idea of working for 40 years and then 5 years, 10 years of retirement just doesn't sit right anymore, right?
It's a different world. I think way back when you were, if you were, again, police officers know their retirement date, teachers all know their retirement date. If you're in a factory, your retirement date. But a lot of folks, like I find that, a lot of doctors, they continue on. A lot of dentists will freelance. I mean, accountants will continue on and reduce their workload. But, health considerations are number one. Number two here is really enjoyment of life. And retirement, we do know, provides the freedom, right? The freedom to pursue hobbies, the freedom to travel, spend time with families and friends, have those activities. Playing golf, obviously, is one of the things that I'm now focused on in my my later years. And, as I always say, I do not want to become the richest guy in the cemetery. Right. There are no bank machines in heaven, right? So you can't take it with you. So, it's enjoyment of life is really critical.
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah. One of the other reasons why you should retire is reducing stress. I mean, we all know how much stress can affect your health and your well-being. So, if you've got a demanding job or just a job that has so many responsibilities, obviously retiring can lead to lower stress levels. Yeah. And improving your overall mental health and just your physical health.
Well, they say that stress is the new smoking, right? Yeah. So if you're in a profession where there's high stress, I mean, I'm sure if you're a nurse or you're in some of these professions that just demand a lot of stress is the new smoking, and smoking isn't good for your.
You got that right.
Good for your longevity, right?
Yeah, yeah. Another reason why, of course, we talk about health. Well, what about wealth and financial stability? So lots of people, for many, retirement might be feasible. Maybe you've got enough, you've got adequate savings, you've got your government pensions or other pensions, you've got your benefits. So it's going to allow you a comfortable lifestyle, so you don't necessarily need to work.
You hear the odd person who says, I really miss working, and, they've got to find things to do. But I think if you retire and you've got things to do, you've got hobbies, you've got sports that you want to do, you've got grandkids, you've got family, then that it makes a ton of sense. Number 5 here on some of the 10 reasons why you might want to retire is to desire new experiences. Again, when you're putting in those 40 hours a week, you're putting in the same 40 hours with the same people and the same job and the same driving to work every day. But again, new experiences. So retirement allows you to, obviously explore new interests, new activities, and it gives you time to engage in other things that you've wanted to do your whole life. You know, how great is it? I'm jealous about the ones that I hear get to spend like 2 or 3 months in the winter months in Florida. I mean, it is tough. Yeah. You know, when we're young, you know, it didn't matter. The winters didn't matter to me. Right. I can put up with it. I don't know about you, but probably at about 50, I started to think like, I don't like winters anymore, period. Yeah. So
I think I can take a month of it.
Yeah, I could take
But after
December.
about, December,
give me December.
But
we're
by
good, right?
mid-January,
Christmas,
I'm ready.
Kind of stuff. Yeah.
I can't take it anymore.
January, February, March, there's nothing worse than sitting in the basement just dreaming of the day that, spring, mother spring will come or whatever.
Exactly,
Number 6 here is time for family, obviously. So again, with retirement, many retirees want to spend more time with their kids and their grandkids, possibly aging parents, which can be, a big aspect in later in life. And again, I find that a lot of clients, I've got clients right now that they retire and they spend all their time with their grandkids and they just love it. So to each his own. I mean, I don't think I want to spend all my time in retirement with my grandkids, but I don't have any grandkids right now, and I don't want any grandkids right now.
Well, they're great, but only in moderation, right?
Exactly,
then it's time to say, "Here you go, mom and dad. You take the kids." So, another reason why you'd want to retire, you talked about time with family. Well, how about an opportunity to volunteer? So, in your 30s and 40s, life gets in the way. You're dealing with your kids. You've got to take them everywhere. And, maybe retirement can offer you a chance to give back to the community. And, a lot of people want to do that, but they just don't have the time or they're tired they're, again, dealing with their kids all the time. So they just don't have that opportunity. So retiring, you can volunteer and help out a good charity or a church. Another reason why you should retire is it's easier to transition while you're still relatively healthy. So again, you're talking about, maybe slowing it down a little bit. We're in pretty good shape, so it's a much easier and smoother transition than if you're waiting until it's too late or until you have a health issue. Then it can become a real issue.
The book I read about a year ago was called To Die With Zero, and it talked about how, we spend our whole life saving our money up, and then we don't spend it, right? Because, health gets in the way or whatever. But he gives the example of he took his family, the author took his family to the Vatican, to Italy for a vacation and spent a boatload of money. And he said, I'll never regret it. But he said, I was sitting there with my family and this tour bus shows up. And off the tour bus are all these old people. And they got their walkers and they got canes and they're barely able to move up the stairs and they're barely able to go into the Vatican. And he said, it's incredible, right? Like you've saved up your whole life. You've worked your whole life to have some wealth. You take that big trip, which isn't probably cheap, but you get there and your body can't handle it. Right. I mean, you can't walk the Great Wall of China when you're 90, right? You can't walk it when you're 3, and you can't walk it when you're 90. So you've got to pick the right spot. Agreed. Number 9 here on some of the reasons why people may want to retire is, there's a change in work environment. Obviously, for those in high stress or high toxic work environments, retiring is the great escape. I had one client years ago said to me, he worked in a factory and he said, every day it was like jail to me, right? He said, I had to check in, I put on my jumpsuit, right? I 8 hours in the penitentiary, and then I got to
Tough
go
life.
home. Yeah. So
that's
again, if you don't like your work, then maybe early retirement is a good fit for you. Number 10 here is the fulfillment of retirement dreams. And again, we think about it, right? We all have these dreams. I have these dreams. I said to my wife one day, my biggest retirement dream, Jason, is I want to go to Bora Bora or the Maldives. This is like one of my big deals, right? I want to get one of those over the water huts, and I just want to sit there for 5 days and do nothing but look out, maybe read a couple books, take a dip in the ocean. I'm good. Yeah. And I said, if I can do that, I can die a happy camper, right? I said to Christina, if I don't get that, I'm going to be in heaven. I'll be the most miserable. So again, you've got to build your dream bucket, right? What is your dream bucket going to look like? What is your passion? Maybe it's education. Maybe it's going to be starting a passion project or a business, maybe a secondary business,
sure.
But again, it's time to kind of fill out your dream list.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about that Bora Bora stuff. It's pretty good.
I said to her,
No
I said, I
phones.
don't care what it costs. I am going to take it out of the kids' inheritance fund.
Sure.
And spend it.
They'll
like
get what
there's
they
no
get.
tomorrow, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll fly to Bora Bora, then I'll meet you.
Call me.
I'll meet you in Melbourne or whatever. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sydney, right?
Yeah, not far. Well, now we're going back. Now we're going to the top reasons why you should not retire, or maybe now retirement is not in the cards. And obviously, the number one reason would be financial concerns. So maybe there's insufficient funds, maybe there's the unpredictable market conditions, and it just makes it more challenging to maintain your desired lifetime. Maybe you won't have enough to get to Bora Bora or to Melbourne, whatever it is. But so a lot of people just unfortunately have to continue to work, to ensure their financial stability.
Again, right? You talk to a 65-year-old who hasn't put money away his whole life, and you ask him if he could go back 30 or 40 years and talk to the 35-year-old version of him, what would he do differently? And they all say I would have put more money away. I would have invested differently. So again, if they don't have the resources, then of course, why would you want to retire and live, in a very, substandard world?
Exactly.
Key thing here too is social interaction. If you're the kind of person who needs interaction, maybe you've lost your spouse and your family lives far away, maybe work becomes your social getaway, right? And again, if you have that social getaway, if you like your job, you like your boss, you like who you work with, and you get that social connection, it's really important. Obviously, too, health benefits. Depending on how old you are, obviously, like you may still have health benefits to age 65. Obviously, in Canada right now, you don't get your drug benefit and dental benefit till age 65. So if you're 60 and you retire, you might have a 5-year window where you're kind of on the hook for drugs and dental. Yeah. So think about, again, having those health benefits continue on for at least a few more years makes some sense too.
It might include out of country coverage too, right? Yeah. So the benefits, that's a big deal for people in their, that are older and might have some health issues.
Well, if you're 60 and you've had a couple of heart attacks and you decide to travel to Florida and you don't have health and dental or health benefits, how are you going to get coverage? Right?
Exactly.
So at least if you're still working, maybe you have your employer plan and you've got a bit of out of country coverage. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Similar to your social interactions is intellectual engagement. So continuing to work obviously stimulates the mind. You like coming in your social, you keep cognitive function sharp. So there's physical and then there's the mental aspect of staying at work. So some individuals just like to, stay mentally engaged by going to work.
Yep.
Another reason why you might not want to retire is maybe you're just happy with what you're doing. Maybe career satisfaction. You and I love doing what we do. So maybe, we enjoy it so much that, retiring too early might be undesirable.
I love the example of the CEO who he had a mandatory, he had to leave at age 65. The guy was running this business. It was a book I was reading, and he said that loved my job. He had the best parking spot in the building. He had a great assistant. He had the best table at the in the cafeteria. He had his cell phone. He was the CEO. He was the grand poobah, and then he had a mandatory retirement. And he said we had a big party on the Friday of the weekend. My wife and I had a big party. Celebrated my retirement. Monday morning, my wife gets up. She gets off to work. He says, "I'm sitting there in my underwear watching Jerry Springer shows on TV." So he said, "I went from being a CEO in the best suit, best parking spot, all these different perks, and then Monday morning, I was just a guy in his underwear." And so career satisfaction makes some sense. Other key thing here too is changing financial needs. Again, we've seen a massive increase in expenses in the last few years. So again, if you decide to keep working, one of the reasons why you keep working is obviously because you need the money, right? Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have gone through divorce, they've gone through separation, they've gone through a death of a loved one. Maybe they're not in the best position they wish they were in. So staying at work because of finances makes some sense. There's obviously advancement for opportunity or opportunity for advancement. So again, maybe you're 60, you could retire, but the CEO is going to leave and you might be the next in line. So there's a chance for you to kind of step into that role for 5 years and leave your mark. That's another key part of why you might want to stay.
For sure. And leaving your mark, speaking of which, maybe you want to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
So, some individuals like to work, you'll have a greater impact. Maybe you're mentoring a young professional or just contributing to your field that you feel is your legacy. And maybe on the other side of that too, maybe you want to provide more money for your kids down the road. So you've got to keep working. It's definitely, legacy is a big part of it.
Well, the bottom line is that there's no right or wrong answer, right? So everything's personal. So again, some people, they look forward to the date. It's 55, it's 60, I want out, and they've got a plan. I think the key thing is if you go early or you go at a certain age, you want to have a bit of a game plan moving forward. And then there are the other ones that say, hey, I'll work to age 100, right? Yeah. I mean, now, we're not going to work as hard as we did in our 30s and 40s, but having a purpose, having a passion, having a reason to come in, making an impact is there too. So no right or wrong answer, but the key thing is, I think, is make sure you're planning for it. People don't plan to fail; they fail to plan. And I think when it comes to retirement or continuing to work, if there's a plan around it, it all makes sense, Jason.
Exactly. When are we booking? To Bora Bora.
Bora Bora, man. Let's.
Here it comes.
Well, it's really funny. I said to my beloved, I don't want to go to Bora Bora with a walker, right? And a diaper. Just kidding. Right. I want to go there in my bathing suit.
Yeah, you want to be able to walk.
So I think it's funny. I did call Bora Bora just for full disclosure, and it's a big number.
Yeah, still got a few more years to.
What is it? The Four Seasons in Bora Bora. It's a new car.
Is that right?
It's a new car for 5 days, but. Hey, you know what? Maybe I'll come to you for a loan if worst case comes to be, right?
Well, if you ever want to go to Melbourne, there's a place to stay. Maybe not Bora Bora, but we'll get you to Melbourne,
sounds
Australia.
pretty good too. Sounds pretty good too.
Yeah.
Jason Pollock, again, thanks for the show. Really appreciate it.